The moment I stepped forward, the air changed. Not metaphorically, not emotionally, physically. It felt like something invisible had locked onto both of us, forcing the moment to happen. Ethan Vale didn't move back, didn't even flinch. Instead, he smiled. "So you decided to start this now." Not surprised, not confused, like he had been expecting it. My eyes narrowed slightly. "You sound prepared." He chuckled softly. "In a place like this, it's better to be." The ice beauty stood behind him, silent, watching. Her presence wasn't passive anymore. It felt alert, aware, like she wasn't just witnessing this moment. She was waiting for something. The system flickered again in my vision. Confrontation active. Maintain antagonist alignment. My breathing stayed steady. Alignment. So even now, it's controlling how far I can go. Ethan stepped closer. One step, the distance between us shrank. "You don't seem like someone who acts without thinking," he said calmly. A test, simple on the surface, dangerous underneath. I didn't answer immediately, because I already understood what he was doing. He wasn't trying to provoke me. He was trying to read me. "And you don't seem like someone who wastes time on strangers," I replied. His eyes sharpened slightly. There it is, a reaction, small, but real. The ice beauty shifted slightly behind him, just a fraction. But I noticed she's paying attention to every word. Ethan smiled again, but this time it didn't reach his eyes. Maybe I'm just curious. Curious. That word again. Too clean, too controlled. People like him don't feel curiosity. They calculate. Or maybe, he continued, you're not as simple as the rumors say. Silence. There it is. Not accusation. Recognition. My pulse slowed slightly. So he feels it too. Something is off. Good. That means I'm not completely inside his expectations. Rumors tend to disappoint, I said calmly. A pause. Then he laughed softly. I'm starting to think that's true. The corridor felt tighter, not because of space, because of tension. Every word now had weight. Every pause had meaning. Behind him, the ice beauty finally spoke. This isn't necessary. Her voice was calm, but firm. Both of us glanced at her. That wasn't part of the script. In the original story, she wouldn't intervene here. She would watch, silently. But now, she stepped forward, just slightly. You're drawing attention. Her eyes moved between us. Not judgmental, not emotional, analytical, like she was trying to stop something from escalating. Ethan tilted his head slightly. Are you concerned? Her gaze didn't waver. I'm stating a fact. Another deviation. Small, but clear. The system reacted instantly. Warning. Unpredicted behavioral shift detected. My expression didn't change. But inside, something clicked. It's not just me. The story is shifting around me. Ethan glanced at her for a moment, then back at me. Interesting. That word again. But now, it carried something different. Suspicion. Not just toward me, toward the situation itself. Good. Let him doubt. Doubt slows people like him down. But not for long. Because then, he stepped forward again, closing the distance completely. Now we were face to face. Close enough to feel each other's presence clearly. Close enough for this to become something else. Let's make this simple, he said quietly. His voice dropped. Private now. If you're going to be a problem. A pause. I'll deal with it early. There it was. The truth, hidden under politeness, wrapped in calm, but unmistakable. I didn't step back, didn't break eye contact. You're assuming I'm the problem. A dangerous line, but necessary. His eyes narrowed slightly. And you're assuming you're not. Silence. The system pulsed again. Alignment stable. So this is acceptable. This tension. This controlled hostility. Good. That means I still have room to move. Behind him, the ice beauty took another step. Closer now. Her voice dropped slightly. Both of you. We didn't look at her, but we listened. This isn't the place. Her tone was different now. Not just caution. Warning. Like she knew something neither of us did. For a moment, no one moved. Then, Ethan stepped back. Just one step, breaking the immediate tension. "You're right," he said calmly. His smile returned, but softer this time. "Controlled. This can wait. Wait, not stop. Just delay." He looked at me one last time. "We'll continue this soon." Then he turned and walked away. The ice beauty remained for a moment. Then she looked at me directly. "You shouldn't provoke him." Her voice was quiet, but not cold, not like before. "Different. And you shouldn't defend him," I replied. A pause. Her eyes held mine for a second longer. Then she turned and followed after him, leaving me alone in the corridor. The system flickered again. Phase progression. Active. I exhaled slowly. This isn't how it's supposed to go. The confrontation didn't escalate. The humiliation didn't happen. The roles didn't align perfectly. Everything shifted, and for the first time, I wasn't the only one who noticed. Silence lingered in the corridor long after they left, but it wasn't empty. It was unstable, like something had just been interrupted, not ended. I didn't move immediately, because I could still feel it. The system, watching, waiting. Then, ding, my eyes sharpened slightly. Here it comes. A new interface appeared in front of me, more detailed this time. Behavioral assessment initiated. Subject, Lucien Vale. Objective, evaluate threat response. I frowned slightly. Evaluate. That's new. Before it only gave orders. Now, it wants analysis. The screen flickered again. Subtask, engage target in controlled interaction. Constraint, do not trigger full confrontation. I let out a quiet breath. So now I have to approach him without actually starting a fight. You really enjoy contradictions, don't you? No response. Of course. I pushed myself off the wall and started walking again, not toward the intersect, but toward the training arena. Because if there's one place a controlled interaction makes sense, it's there. The arena was already active when I arrived. Disciple sparring, weapons clashing, energy circulating in controlled bursts, noise, movement, observation. Perfect, because nothing draws less attention than conflict in a place designed for it. I stepped inside, and immediately I saw him. Lucien Vale stood near the center, surrounded, not by enemies, by disciples, listening, talking, watching. Of course, even here, he's the center. My eyes shifted slightly. The ice beauty was there too, standing at a distance, not part of the group, but not leaving either. Observing, always observing. Good, that makes things easier. And harder. I stepped forward, slow, controlled, just enough to be noticed. And of course, I was. The moment I entered his range, his gaze lifted, locked onto me instantly, like he had been expecting this. Lucien? No surprise, just acknowledgement. The disciples around him went quiet. Then, subtly, stepped back, creating space, unintentionally, or not. The circle formed naturally. Perfect stage. I stopped a few steps away. Thin, short, neutral, no excess. He tilted his head slightly. You came looking for me. Not a question, a statement. Or maybe you're just easy to find, I replied. A few disciples exchanged glances. Tension rose. Ethan smiled slightly. Fair enough. He stepped forward. The distance closed again. Not aggressive, not passive, balanced, controlled. Since we're both here, he glanced around briefly. Why not make use of it? There it is, the invitation, wrapped as opportunity. But it's a test. Everything he does is a test. You want to spar. Again, not a question. He nodded. A simple exchange. Simple. Nothing about this is simple. I stayed silent for a moment, because this is where it matters. If I refuse, I look weak. If I accept, I step into his field. But the system already decided for me. Subtask alignment achieved. Of course, I exhaled slowly. Fine. The word landed heavier than expected. The surrounding disciples moved further back, creating a proper arena space now. No one spoke. because everyone understood this wasn't just a spar. This was something else. Ethan stepped back, giving distance, proper stance, relaxed, too relaxed, like he wasn't taking this seriously. Or worse, like he didn't need to. I stepped forward. My posture straightened. Energy stabilized. I didn't draw a weapon. Neither did he. Barehanded, testing fundamentals. Good. That means I have room to control escalation. The air tightened. No signal. No countdown. But we both moved at the same time. Step. His movement was clean, efficient, direct. No wasted motion. Mine matched, calculated, controlled. We closed a distance instantly. And then, contact. A single exchange. Palm to palm. Force meeting force. The impact wasn't loud, but the pressure was real. For a split second, everything froze. Then, I felt it. His strength. Not overwhelming, but precise, refined. Like every bit of power was exactly where it needed to be. No excess, no weakness. My eyes narrowed slightly. So this is the chosen one. He looked at me, closer now, and for the first time, his smile disappeared completely. You're holding back. My expression didn't change. So are you. A pause. Then something shifted. Not outside. Inside him. For just a fraction of a second, I felt something cold. Not his energy. Something deeper. Wrong. Then it vanished. His smile returned. Interesting. But this time, it didn't feel human. Behind him, the Ice Beauty's eyes widened slightly. Just a fraction. But I saw it. She felt it too. Good. That confirms it. I'm not imagining things. Something about him is not right. We broke contact at the same time. Step back. The spar ended naturally. Too naturally. No winner. No loser. Just information exchanged. Ethan looked at me for a moment longer. Then he spoke quietly. We'll do this again. Not a suggestion. A certainty. Then he turned and walked away. The disciples slowly relaxed. Noise returned. Movement resumed. But I didn't move because my mind was already working. The system flickered again. Assessment incomplete. Of course it is, because this wasn't enough. But for me, it was. I exhaled slowly. So that's the problem. The hero isn't as clean as he appears, and the story isn't as stable as it should be. Behind me, a quiet voice spoke. You noticed it too? I turned slightly. The Ice Beauty stood there, watching me, not distant anymore, not neutral. Something had changed, and whatever it wasn't part of the original story. You noticed it too? Her voice was quiet, controlled, but there was something beneath it. Certainty. I didn't turn fully toward her, not immediately, because that single sentence was already dangerous. Noticed what? A simple response. Neutral, safe, at least on the surface. The Ice Beauty stepped closer. Not too close, not distant either. Just enough to lower her voice without being overheard. That feeling. My eyes narrowed slightly. So she's not guessing. She's confirming. You're being vague. She didn't react to that. Her gaze remained steady, locked, as if something doesn't belong. Silence. That line hit too precisely, because that's exactly what I felt. But she shouldn't. Not yet. Not here. In the original story, she never questions a hero, never doubts him, never notices anything wrong, until much later. So why now? I turned slightly toward her. You're overthinking. A weak denial. Intentionally. Because I needed to see her reaction. She didn't argue, didn't insist. Instead, she studied me, carefully, like she was trying to confirm something. You're different too. My heartbeat slowed. There it is. Not suspicion anymore. Recognition. That's worse. People keep saying that today. I kept my tone calm, but no one explains what they mean. A pause. Her eyes didn't leave mine. You don't react the way you should. Straight. Direct. Too direct. In what way? I asked. She tilted her head slightly. When he provokes you, you don't escalate. And when you provoke others, you don't commit. Silence. That was accurate. Too accurate. She continued. You're holding back. A beat from something. I didn't respond, because anything I say now confirms something. So instead, I asked, and what are you holding back from? A shift, subtle, but real. For the first time, her gaze flickered, just for a moment. Then it returned. That's not your concern. There it is. Deflection, which means she is hiding something. Good. That makes this balanced, but also dangerous, because now we're both aware of each other, and awareness creates connection, whether we want it or not. The system pulsed suddenly. Warning. Unapproved interaction detected. My eyes sharpened slightly. Of course, this isn't part of the script. This conversation shouldn't be happening. The ice beauty didn't react to the system, which means she can't see it. But somehow, she's still reaching the same conclusions. That's not normal. You should be careful, she said quietly, not as advice. As fact, Lucien Vale isn't someone you should underestimate. My expression didn't change. I don't. A pause. Then she added something unexpected. Good. That word wasn't cold, wasn't distant. It carried relief, just a little. That's when it hit me. You're not worried about him. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You're worried about something else. Silence. For a moment, she didn't respond, didn't deny it, didn't confirm it. Then she turned slightly. This conversation never happened. A warning, not to others. To me, and before I could say anything, she walked away, leaving me standing there again. But this time, something had changed, because now I wasn't the only one questioning the story. I exhaled slowly. She knows something. Not everything, but enough. Enough to act differently. Enough to disrupt events. Enough to become unpredictable. And that changes everything. The system flickered violently. More aggressive this time. Deviation increasing. Corrective measures pending. My jaw tightened slightly. Of course. It won't allow this to continue. It will force something. Soon. And when it does, it won't be subtle. Because now there are too many variables. The hero is unstable. The heroine is aware. And I am no longer following the script, which means something has to break. The moment she left, the silence didn't feel normal anymore. It felt watched, not by people, by something else. I stood still for a few seconds longer, just listening. Disciples nearby continued training. Steel clashing, energy bursts, noise of a normal sect. But underneath it all, something was off, like the world was pretending nothing had changed. I exhaled slowly. Correction measures. The system had said it. And when a system says that, it doesn't mean discussion. It means enforcement. Ding. My vision flickered. This time, it wasn't a simple message. The entire interface expanded. System directive override initiated. My expression tightened slightly. Override. That's new. The screen shifted again. Stabilizing narrative divergence. Subject behavior exceeds acceptable deviation threshold. I frowned. Threshold, so I've crossed a limit. Not once, not twice, but enough to trigger correction. The air around me suddenly felt heavier. Not pressure from a person, from reality itself. I took a slow step back. Nothing changed visually, but I felt it, something locking in, like invisible chains forming around possibility. You're starting to force it. I muttered. No response. Of course. The system doesn't negotiate. It adapts. Then it constrains. Then it corrects. The screen updated again. Correction phase. Behavioral realignment. My eyes narrowed. Realignment. That doesn't sound good. Suddenly, a notification expanded again. Primary directive. Initiate public level antagonistic action within sect grounds. I froze slightly. Public? So it's not enough to just interact anymore. It wants visibility. It wants witnesses. It wants a story moment. I slowly looked around. Disciples everywhere. Training arena still active. Hero nearby somewhere. Ice Beauty? Already gone. But still watching, maybe? This is staged. Not naturally. Forced. The system is trying to push me into a recognizable narrative beat. A villain moment. A public escalation. Something irreversible. My jaw tightened slightly. So that's how you fix deviation. By forcing alignment. Not correcting me, but correcting the world around me. A voice suddenly echoed in my mind again. Cold. Mechanical. Begin. My body reacted instantly. A faint surge of energy tried to push through my meridians. Not my will. External. Forced aggression. My hand moved slightly without intention. I clenched my fist immediately. Stop. The sensation paused, but didn't disappear. It was waiting, like a trigger held halfway down. I exhaled slowly. So this is it. If I stay still, it escalates. If I resist, it escalates differently. Either way, it moves forward. I look toward the training arena center. Disciples still training, laughing, living normally. They don't feel it. Only I do, because I'm the variable, the anomaly, the villain, or what's supposed to be one. A shadow moved at the edge of my vision. I turned slightly. Ethan Vale. He was back. Of course. Timing too precise. He stepped into the arena slowly, and immediately the atmosphere shifted again, like the system responded to his presence too. Interesting. He stopped when he saw me, just for a moment, then smiled. Not friendly, not hostile, observational. Something feels different, he said softly. My eyes narrowed slightly. From what? He tilted his head. From before. A pause. You look like you're about to do something unnecessary. Silence. So he feels it too. Good. That means the system's pressure isn't invisible. It's affecting the environment. Not just me. I exhaled slowly. Maybe I am. A few disciples nearby paused. They felt it now. Something in the air shifting. Tension rising without reason. Ethan stepped forward slightly. Then don't. Simple words. But heavy. I looked at him directly. And if I can't? A pause. His smile faded slightly. Just slightly. Then it won't be interesting anymore. That sentence didn't sound like a joke or a warning. It sounded like confirmation. Like he was waiting for something like this. The system flickered violently. Correction trigger ready. My breathing slowed. So now it starts. Right here. Right now. In front of everyone. I glanced at Ethan again. Then at the disciples. Then at the system interface. Still hovering in my vision. So this is your stage. I whispered. The system responded instantly. Begin execution phase. The air snapped. Something inside me moved. Not fully under my control anymore. And for the first time, I realized something clearly. This isn't just a story. It's a correction system. And I'm the error. The moment the system said it, everything tightened. Not just the air, not just the arena, but me, like invisible hands, had grabbed reality itself and started pulling it into position. Begin execution phase. The words didn't echo. They settled. Heavy. Final. My body moved slightly without permission. Just a fraction. A step forward. I stopped it instantly. So this is what you are. My voice came out lower than usual. Controlled, but colder. Around me, disciples finally felt it. Whispers stopped. Training halted. Weapons lowered. Something was wrong. Even they could tell now. Ethan Vale didn't move. He just watched, not reacting, not interfering, observing, like he was waiting for the outcome rather than causing it. That realization alone was disturbing. I clenched my fist. The system pressure increased. Target alignment incomplete, forcing narrative compliance. My arm twitched again, this time stronger. I gripped my teeth. Get out of my body. A pulse answered instead. Not words. Force. My vision blurred for a split second, and then my body moved. One step forward, then another, toward the center of the arena. Not my decision, but I could still think. That was the worst part. I could feel myself being dragged into position like a puppet, and the audience was forming around it, disciples stepping back, creating space, not knowing why, but sensing danger. Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly. So it started. His voice was quiet, almost to himself. I heard it, but I couldn't respond, because my body kept moving, step by step, until I stood in the center. The system stabilized. Execution zone established. My breathing slowed. So this is a stage. Public, visible, irreversible, just like it wanted. I slowly lifted my head. My control wasn't gone, but it was split. Half me, half system. And now, both were aligned toward one outcome. I looked at Ethan. He was still standing at the edge, not entering, not leaving, just watching. You knew, I said quietly. My voice barely carried, but he heard it. His expression didn't change. I suspected that answer was worse than denial. It meant he saw this coming. Or worse, he expected it. The ice beauty suddenly appeared at the edge of the arena again. I didn't see her approach. She was just there. Her eyes widened slightly. What is happening? Finally, someone who didn't understand. The system reacted instantly. Public antagonist activation confirmed. My body lifted slightly. Energy surged through me. Not mine. Injected. Forced. My hand rose. Toward Ethan. And I felt it clearly now. This wasn't a spar. This wasn't a test. This was an execution script starting mid-run. Ethan finally stepped forward. Slow. Controlled. So this is what they're doing to you. His voice was different now. Not playful. Not curious. Measuring. I tried to speak, but my body acted first. A surge of energy gathered in my palm. Red. Unstable. Dangerous. My vision flickered. The system was forcing output. Eliminate narrative deviation. The attack formed. Not fully mine. Not fully not mine. And I understood something clearly in that moment. If this lands, it won't just injure him. It will confirm the story. Irreversibly. Ethan raised his hand slowly, but not in panic. In preparation. Interesting, he muttered. The ice beauty moved slightly forward. Stop this. Too late. The energy fired. A compressed red beam of unstable force shot forward, straight toward Ethan. The arena went silent. Even the system paused for a fraction of a second, watching, waiting. Ethan didn't dodge immediately. He looked at it, like he was analyzing it. Then he moved, fast, clean, precise. A single step, a deflection motion, and the attack split, not blocked, not absorbed, redirected. It passed him and exploded into the air above, shattering the formation of the execution zone slightly. For a split second, the system flickered violently. Error in execution flow. My body froze. Not fully released, but no longer fully controlled either. Ethan looked at me now. Seriously. Completely. So even that was forced. Silence. The ice beauty stared in shock. The disciples didn't speak. No one did, because what just happened didn't follow the story anymore. The system trembled, not metaphorically, visually, glitching harder than before. Correction failure detected. My breathing stabilized slightly. Control returning in fragments. And I understood something new. The system isn't absolute. It can fail. Ethan lowered his hand slowly, then looked at me. We need to talk. Not a request, a realization. The system flickered one last time, then went silent. Not gone, just waiting. And in that silence, I realized the worst part. This wasn't the climax. It was only the first malfunction. The arena didn't move. Not anymore. Even the wind felt like it had stopped asking permission. Everything was frozen in that one moment, after the attack failed, and after the system broke. Silence. That was the worst part. No notifications. No commands. No pressure. Just absence. I stood in the center of the arena, breathing slowly. My hand was still raised slightly, but no energy remained in it. It stopped. My voice was quiet, almost disbelieving. Ethan Vale didn't respond immediately. He was still watching me, carefully now, not like before. Not like a story character observing a villain, like someone observing a system failure. It didn't stop, he said finally. It lost control. Those words made something cold settle in my chest. Lost control. So even he can see it. The ice beauty stepped forward again. Her expression was no longer just confused. It was alarmed. That attack wasn't yours. I didn't answer, because she already knew the answer. But saying it out loud makes it real. Ethan turned slightly toward her. You felt it too, didn't you? She hesitated, just for a moment, then nodded. Something interfered with him. Silence again, this one heavier, more meaningful, because now it wasn't just me who noticed. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was confirmation. Something external had taken control. Ethan slowly stepped closer, not aggressive, not cautious either. Measured. Show me your system. My eyes narrowed instantly. What? He didn't repeat himself. Just held my gaze. I want to see it. That sentence should have been impossible, because no one in this world should even understand what that means. The system flickered once. Weak, unstable, but still there. I could feel it trying to recover, trying to reassert control. But something had changed. It was no longer stable. It was reacting, like it had been exposed. The ice beauty looked between us. You're both acting like this is normal, she said quietly. Ethan didn't look at her. I've never seen anything like it, he replied. That was more honest than anything so far. I exhaled slowly. I can't show you something I don't control. A pause. Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly. So it's still inside you? Not a question. A deduction. I didn't deny it, because denying it now would be pointless. The system flickered again. This time, stronger. Warning. External observation detected. My body tensed slightly. So it knows. It reacts to awareness. Ethan tilted his head slightly. It noticed me. That wasn't fear. That was curiosity again, but sharper now. Dangerous curiosity. The ice beauty suddenly spoke again. We need to report this. Silence. Both of us looked at her. She didn't flinch. This is beyond sect authority. A pause. Ethan slowly exhaled. If we report it, it disappears. Her eyes narrowed slightly. What do you mean? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at me. Whatever is controlling him, it reacted to attention. That sentence hit differently, because it was true. The system was silent before, until we noticed it, until we interfered, until we broke its flow. I slowly clenched my fist. So we ignore it? Ethan shook his head slightly. No. A pause. We study it. That word again. Study, not eliminate, not escape. Study. The ice beauty frowned slightly. That sounds reckless. Ethan finally looked at her. For once, I agree. A faint pause. Then he smiled slightly again. But this time, it wasn't confident. It was curious. But this is the first thing that feels real in a long time. Silence. I felt it too. The system didn't respond. Still silent. Waiting. Not gone. Just watching. And now, we were watching it back. For the first time. The ice beauty lowered her gaze slightly. This is going to get worse. Not prediction. Understanding. Ethan nodded once. Yes. I looked at both of them. Then at the empty space where the system used to speak clearly. It already is. And in that moment, I understood something important. This isn't a correction anymore. It's an evolution. The silence didn't end. It just changed shape. Now it felt like something was listening. Not speaking. Not reacting. Just observing. I stood in the arena center for a few seconds longer, waiting for pressure, for correction, for anything. Nothing came. That was worse than punishment. It's not responding anymore. I muttered. Ethan Vale didn't look surprised. It's not gone, he said calmly. It's recalculating. The ice beauty frowned slightly. Recalculating what? Ethan glanced at her. Us. Silence. That single word landed heavier than anything before. Us. Not me. Not him. All of us. Like the system had stopped treating this as a single thread story and started treating it as a broken simulation. I slowly exhaled. So what now? Ethan stepped forward slightly, not toward me aggressively, not toward her, just closer to the center, like he was anchoring himself into the situation. We wait, he said. A pause, and we observe what it does next. The ice beauty shook her head slightly. This is insane. For the first time, there was emotion in her voice. Not fear, not confusion, frustration. You're both acting like this is some experiment. Ethan looked at her. It is simple, direct, no hesitation. That answer made her silent, because she couldn't argue with it. Not fully. I looked at both of them, then at the empty space where the system used to force movement. It tried to make me attack you, I said quietly. Ethan nodded. Yes. I continued, and it failed. Another nod. That part mattered more than anything else, because it shouldn't have failed. If the system is absolute, then failure is impossible, which means it's not absolute. The ice beauty suddenly spoke again. So what does that make it? A pause. Neither of us answered immediately, because the answer wasn't simple. Ethan finally spoke, something that enforces a story. I narrowed my eyes slightly, and when the story breaks, Ethan looked at me directly. It tries to fix it. Silence. So that's the pattern. Force. Correction. Escalation. But this time, it didn't work, which means we cross a line it can't easily repair. A soft breeze passed through the arena. Normal again. Almost deceptive. The ice beauty lowered her gaze slightly. Then why does it feel like something worse is coming? No one answered, because we all felt it, even if we couldn't explain it. Ethan exhaled slowly, because we're still inside it. I glanced at him. Inside what? He didn't answer immediately. Then, the story hasn't ended. That sentence was simple, but heavy, because it implied something worse. If the system isn't gone, if it's adapting, then this was an escape. It was a transition, from control to correction. I clenched my fist slightly, so we didn't break it. Ethan shook his head slightly. No. A pause. We just heard it. Silence. That was worse, because a wounded system doesn't stop. It escalates. The ice beauty suddenly looked toward the sect gates. Someone is coming. We all turned, slowly, distant footsteps. Heavy, measured, familiar authority. The sword master. She was returning, and this time, her presence felt different. Not pressure, not observation. Decision. Ethan's expression shifted slightly, so it responded after all. I narrowed my eyes. Not to us. The ice beauty whispered softly. To the failure. Silence. The sword master stopped at the edge of the arena. Her eyes swept across all three of us. Slow. Precise. And then she spoke. Explain. Not a question. A command. And in that moment, I realized something. Whatever comes next is no longer controlled by the system alone. It's now being judged by something else. Explain. The sword master's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. It filled the entire arena anyway. Even the air seemed to straighten itself in response. Disciples who hadn't already stepped back further, like instinctively knowing this was not a conversation they were meant to hear. I stood still. So did Ethan. So did the ice beauty. But none of us were equal in that silence, because I could feel it. Something inside her presence was different, not system pressure, not story force. Something earned. Authority that didn't come from rules, but from experience. Ethan exhaled slowly. There's been an interference. Straight to the point. No hesitation. The sword master didn't move. Her gaze shifted slightly. To him first. Then to me. Then to the ice beauty. Interference, she repeated. Not disbelief. Not agreement. Just processing. I slowly spoke. Something tried to force me into attacking him. A pause. The air tightened slightly. Not from her. From understanding forming. Ethan added calmly. And it failed. That part changed everything. I saw it in her eyes. A subtle shift, not surprise, concern. The ice beauty finally stepped forward slightly. It wasn't him acting on his own. Her voice was steady again, controlled. It was external. The sword master's eyes narrowed slightly. External. The word carried weight, because in this sect, there are no external forces that should be able to interfere. Not here, not at this level. A long silence followed. Then, the sword master finally moved. One step forward, then another. She entered the arena fully, and with each step, the pressure changed. Not heavier, not lighter, more focused, like everything unnecessary was being stripped away, until only truth remained. She stopped in front of us, close enough now that even breathing felt measured. Her eyes landed on me. You... Just that. Not accusation. Not assumption. Identification. I didn't respond immediately, because something about her gaze wasn't just observing me. It was checking me, like verifying reality. Ethan spoke first. He's not the source. The sword master didn't look away from me, but he is the center. Silence. That sentence landed heavier than anything else so far. Center. Not cause. Not victim. Center. The ice beauty looked between them. That doesn't make sense. The sword master finally shifted her gaze slightly. Neither did what happened earlier. A pause. And yet it happened. Silence again. No one could argue that. Because of failed execution, the system interference, the collapse of control, all of it was real. Ethan stepped forward slightly. If you're going to judge it, you should know what you're judging. The sword master turned her gaze to him. And what exactly is it? Ethan hesitated for the first time. Just a fraction. Then, something that shouldn't exist in the story. A beat. The sword master didn't react immediately. Instead, she looked upward slightly. Not at the sky. At something beyond it. Like she could feel layers that others couldn't. Then, she spoke quietly. So it's begun. The ice beauty frowned. What has begun? The sword master looked back at us. And for the first time, her expression wasn't neutral. It was serious. The correction of the correction. Silence. Even Ethan didn't speak, because that phrase didn't belong to any normal understanding. The sword master continued. If what you say is true, then this is no longer a sect matter. A pause. Her gaze sharpened slightly. It is a world-level deviation. The air in the arena felt colder after that. Not physically, conceptually, like reality had just been downgraded from stable to unstable. I slowly clenched my fist. So what happens now? The sword master looked at me directly, and for the first time, there was something almost unfamiliar in her eyes. Not dominance, not judgment, decision. Now, she said quietly, we watch what tries to overwrite reality. Silence. The system didn't respond. Still silent. But I could feel it. Not gone. Not defeated. Just preparing. And somewhere deep inside, I realized something final. This was never about me becoming a villain. It was about something trying to make sure the story ends the same way, no matter what breaks along the way. And now, we were in its blind spot.